All right, everyone, we are now ready to learn how to make monkey bread. So we have our dish pan set up, we've got our drain board set up, and while that's happening, while people are setting up, you will what we call mise your station. Mise en place means everything in its place. That includes not just the ingredients, but your mixing bowls, your measuring cups, your spatulas, your ingredients, everything that you will need, because you never want to have to go looking for it. And I think I just realized I started to mise my station, but I might have forgotten a few things. So this will just be an example of how I shouldn't really need to go for that. And I'm sure some of you that do bake at home, you might have decided you're going to make chocolate chip cookies one day, and all of a sudden you start making them and realize, I don't have eggs. So you've got to stop what you're doing, call a neighbor, have your parents drive to the store. So this is what we're trying to alleviate. So partially mise station, and in some scenarios, you will have to take out things yourselves. But in a lot of scenarios, because of the shortened class period, well, not shortened class period, but because of our class periods being 43 minutes and the time that we have, I tend to mise or set up a lot of your stations, and then you will do the actual baking or cooking. All right, so right here, this is the monkey bread recipe, which is a fan favorite, and I have started mising my station here. You are going to get refrigerated biscuits, butter, brown sugar, white sugar, and cinnamon. So the first thing I did was I took out my brown sugar, and I needed a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, so I took out my 1/4 cup measuring cup. This is what it should look like. It should either be on top of it or in front of it. Okay, and I'm confirming. I wanted to double, triple, quadruple check. And then over here, I have my sugar, white sugar, granulated sugar, and it is also a 1/4 cup. So I have my 1/4 cup measure here. You have 2 sets of dry measuring cups. And then I have my ground cinnamon, and I need 1 1/4 teaspoons of that. Notice I took them off because I do not want to get them confused. I'm double, triple, quadruple checking 1 teaspoon, not tablespoon. Big difference. In fact, there are 3 of these in 1 tablespoon. So we have 1 teaspoon and a 1/4 teaspoon. And I am putting that with the cinnamon. Okay? Now, what you're going to do is on the front counter, I always set out the biscuits, the plastic bags, and the muffin tins for you. And at this point, we should have or will be actually reading the whole entire recipe, because the number one thing you do with every recipe, the first step is read through the entire recipe. Hands down, the most important. Then you mise your station, okay? But before I go through that, the one thing that we need to do is we need to preheat our oven. And this will all be happening simultaneously because you have going to have anywhere from probably 4 to 6 people in your kitchen. So some people set up the dish station, some people are pulling things out, someone's starting here. All right, so to start and preheat the oven, I'm going to push the bake button, not the red arrow, the word bake. And on the recipe it says 350 degrees. So I'm going to push 350, and then I want to push the word start, not the arrow, the word start. The oven will start in most cases at 100 degrees, unless it was already on, and it'll say bake and PRE, and what we're doing is we're waiting for it to come up to temperature. You should never put anything in the oven until it comes up to temperature. And then another student will come up to the front counter to get the rest of your supplies. Each of you will have an individual tray in your kitchen. So you'll carry this tray up. It remains in your kitchen after you're done. You will put a pre-greased muffin tin, 4 biscuits, 1, 2, 3, 4, which I will have stacked for you, a plastic bag, and a 1/4 cup of butter, which is a 1/2 stick of butter, and bring it back to your kitchen. Now, because we're not using the top of the oven, it is okay to put stuff down on it because it is not on. So I'm going to put that here. I'm going to take this off immediately. I'm going to leave the biscuits on here because we're just going to use this to cut and roll and prep them. The plastic bag is going to go over here with the cinnamon and sugar, and the butter is actually going to go with the brown sugar. We will need a bowl. So I'm going to go in my cabinet. I'm going to grab just a regular cereal bowl, which we use here. And I'm going to finish measing my station, which I shouldn't need to do at this point. I should have already meased all of this before I was doing any of this. So it's a good example. I like making mistakes. Mistakes are learning opportunities. Every time you make a mistake, you should be learning from it. The second drawer down, nope, wrong one, another mistake. And up here, I am going to pull out my tiny little rubber spatula, one of my favorite tools, okay, and put it with my bowl. I'm also going to pull out, this is it's called a bench scraper. It's used for many different things. We'll utilize it, but this is great for cutting and marking our biscuits. All right, so you can see here we actually have 3 stations set up. We have our brown sugar and butter station, which is going to be your glaze. We have our biscuit station, which is going to be for cutting and rolling. And we have our cinnamon and sugar station. So when we divide up in our kitchens, you guys will separate and divide and conquer. The first step that should be done is making your cinnamon and sugar. But once again, this should all be happening simultaneously. What does simultaneously mean? At the same time. So you and a partner, maybe by yourself, will open up the plastic bag. A great technique if you're working by yourself is to roll the top edge of this because it's much easier. It will stay open for you, and that way we don't have any issues. You're going to measure with your dry measuring cup, a 1/4 cup. Take the lid off. I always find it easiest to tilt the container because you want the measuring cup to stay parallel with the counter or the floor. This enables you to scoop in and overfill it really well. I'm going to put this down because I should do it over the counter. And I'm going to take this is twofold here, and I'm going to level my sugar. I'm then going to pour it into my plastic bag. And always, if I'm not using it, where does this go? In the dish pan. So someone can be washing dishes. If someone's not doing anything, you should always be actively. So if there is no one available, I'm just going to leave it in there. I'm going to come back here, close the lid. Always be efficient. I don't want to worry about it. And in fact, because it's right above me, I'm going to put it away. Then I'm going to take my cinnamon. Now, how do you think I should measure the cinnamon? Am I going to try and shake it out of here? Absolutely not. And yes, I have seen students do this, even after demonstrating how to do it the correct way. Close the lid, take the cap off. And I'm going to, once again, I need 1 1/4 teaspoons. Take my measuring spoon, 1 teaspoon, quadruple checking. Want this to be parallel. So for this to be parallel, I want to tilt my cinnamon container. I'm going to scoop all the way in, and I actually want it to be overflowing. All right, so this I'm going to kind of shimmy down. Now for this recipe, cinnamon is just really for flavor. If I was using baking soda or baking powder in it, I would definitely want it to be an exact amount, and I would want to use this leveler to level it off. It's pretty, for this one, it's okay to do this. I'm going to pour my 1 teaspoon in here, and then I'm going to measure my 1/4 teaspoon. So same thing. I'm going to shimmy it down. Good enough, go. All right. What am I going to do? Put the lid back on and put it away. Be efficient. Get your counter clean. And now I'm going to close the sugar, cinnamon and sugar. We're making homemade cinnamon sugar. So if you ever at home need cinnamon and sugar and you don't have any, very easy to do. And obviously, Google is going to tell you how much to make. But this is for this recipe. I like to always squeeze the air out. And I'm going to shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Make sure it's mixed really, really well. Now, the cinnamon and sugar should be being made, but somebody else, because I'm only one person right here, somebody else, or a couple, actually at least 2 of you are going to be preparing the biscuits. So the first 2 things that need to be done are the cinnamon and sugar and the biscuits. But don't forget, guys, where do these go? In the dish pan. Okay? So now the biscuit station. You're going to separate the biscuits, and we have 4 biscuits, and we are going to cut them into 6 pieces each. 6 cuts times 4 is 24. I find it easiest to mark them first because what kids want to do is they want to make 8 like a pizza pie, but we only want 6. So you're going to make a mark, then you're going to make an X and another X. All right, then you're going to use this to cut it. And as soon as they're cut, your partner, your lab partner, who's working with you, is going to take these and start rolling them, okay? And while they're rolling them, you're going to continue to mark, 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 mark. And in fact, the person who helped with the cinnamon and sugar, if you've got a lot of students in your group, they actually can be helping roll too. So as soon as 6 are done, we're not waiting till 24 are done. As soon as 6 pieces are done, we have them rolled. We are going to take our cinnamon and sugar. We are going to open up the bag. Trying to open the bag. Put this in here. I'm going to drop 6. 1, 2, 3. I would say no more than 6. You can even put a few in a time. And notice how I'm kind of shaking them around because I don't want them to stick together. All 6 in there. Make sure to seal it because we're going to have cinnamon and sugar all over the place. And give it a good shake, making sure that they're fully coated. And then what do you think is going to happen? We are going to put them into our muffin tin. Now, a little more math here. We've got 4 biscuits cut into 6 equals 24. Now, we have 24 pieces of dough with 6 holes in our muffin tin. 24 divided by 6 is what? 4. So there will be 4 pieces of dough in each muffin tin. But what we're going to do is we're only going to put 1 in each to start. I'll move that over there. Okay, and the reason we do this is because I know from experience, at the end when they come out, kids go, I want that one, it's bigger, that one's bigger. So what you can do is you can even out the sizes here. Okay, so cut, roll, shake, and put in there. And guess what? Our oven is preheated at this point, so it's ready to go. I'm not ready to go yet, but it's ready to go. But I know that it's okay to put my monkey bread in. Okay, so now we still have cinnamon and sugar left. We're going to add a little bit more to the monkey bread, just a little. We don't want to use all of it because if we use all of it, it's going to come out and it's going to be kind of gritty and like kind of like sandy because the sugar. So we're going to take about a handful of sugar, okay, and we're just going to sprinkle a little bit more. There's no exact amount. Just a little more on top of each of them, just for a little extra touch. And then you're actually, I hate to say it, but we're gonna throw out the rest of this in the trash, okay? So I'm done with this. Where does the bench scraper go? In the dish pan. All right, now, the last step, which should actually be done already, because there's gonna be more than just Mrs. Colletti in the kitchen, is we're gonna make the glaze. So we have our 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Now, brown sugar, and I would say 99% of the case, needs to be packed in. I've never actually had a recipe that I can think of that didn't tell you. Maybe it said lightly packed, but we want to pack this in. Now, when we pack in brown sugar, 2 things, depending on which measuring cup you're using. Be careful when holding the handle because these do bend and the plastic ones do break. So when we scoop in, I do want you to hold it from the bottom and pack it in that way, and you'll see in just a second. So I actually hold the whole thing, and I scrape around, and I actually use the side of the container to start the packing, but notice I'm holding the base of it, not the handle, and I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to use my thumbs and hold the base of it and really, really pack that in. Okay, and I actually do a good job there. It's pretty level. You can use a leveler to level it off if it's too high, or even in this case, because it's for flavoring, you scrape it with your hand. And then I'm going to know that I measured it properly if it comes out the shape of the container. I'm actually going to plop that in there, and I'm going to break it apart. All right, once again, clean up after yourselves, put the lid back on, put the brown sugar away. Now the butter, we can just put the butter in here because we're going to microwave this because we want the butter and the brown sugar to be combined. I find it melts much better if we just take a knife, just a dinner knife, nothing sharp, open up the wrapper, leave the wrapper underneath of it, grab our knife, which once again should already be out. I should not be going for it right now. And I'm going to cut this into chunks. No specific size, it's just really for melting. But all of the butter, this is a 1/4 cup of butter, which is a 1/2 stick of butter. And I'm gonna put all the pieces in there. Clean up after yourself. I should not see these wrappers on the counter. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to throw it in the trash can. And now I am done with my knife and my measuring cup, once again, in the dish pan. I'm going to take this bowl and I'm going to put it in the microwave. Now, whenever you're working with butter, milk, anything that is going to boil and melt quickly, you want to do it short periods of time more often. So for this, we are going to just do 30 seconds. We are going to click the Add 30 button very easily. And it's going to start for you, nothing else. So 30 seconds is up. I'm going to take this out of here. And I'm not expecting it to be fully melted, fully combined. Here you go. Okay, so that's what it should look like, depending on when I took the butter out. And we're going to stir this. You'll notice whenever you bake or cook or make anything, especially in the microwave or even in the oven, when you take it out, it actually continues to heat or cook. If you like to cook at home with your parents, you might notice when you're making a roast or something, it actually says to let it rest, because the resting period is still allowing things to cook. And if you're making a roast, it's searing the juices in for you. For this is going to continue to melt, but you almost can notice here it's still a little bit gritty. So we're just going to put it in for about another 15 seconds. Notice I always scrape, push down. I don't want stuff to stay on here. I'm going to put this back in for about another 15 seconds. Now I find it easiest to just push the Add 30 button and take it out at 15 seconds. So just pay attention. And it doesn't have to be an exact science. Somewhere close. Take it out. You'll notice it's a little bit more melted here. Even the brown sugar looks a little bit thinner. Now you'll notice that the butter is floating on top. Now you want to stir, and I know I'll tell you I'll use the words quickly, but you're not stirring really fast because then the butter is going to end up all over the counter. You want to continue to stir until you do not see any more butter and it's absorbed into the brown sugar. This will take some time. Once it is absorbed into the brown sugar, you're going to stop stirring, otherwise it'll get a little too thick. All right, we're almost there. I notice there's almost no more butter. You'll notice it does get thicker, but I just don't want that butter sitting on top anymore. I don't want to see the rim of the oil from the butter. All right, so that's perfect. At this point, you want to stop because it will actually get thicker as you go. So now we're ready to top our monkey bread with the glaze. So you're just going to use this handy dandy little spatula. It's not an exact science. Take a nice scoop. Notice how I'm holding the bowl here. And I'm going to go around to each. Now, I know the cinnamon and sugar, we said not to use all of it. But for this, we are going to use all the brown sugar and butter. So scoop, scrape on the bottom. That way it's not all over the place. Drizzle. Scoop, scrape, drizzle. take even a little bit more there. Drizzle. I'm not worried about covering everything because it's going to melt in the oven. Now I have them all covered. I'm going to continue to scrape the bowl until I have them fully covered. Until I use all the brown sugar and butter. I want to use all of it. And watch this, a cool technique, use the bowl to scrape. So we use everything. Okay, now where does this go? In the sink. All the while, someone should be cleaning up. All right, so now we are ready to go. So our oven is preheated to 350 degrees. Our monkey bread is done. You have two options. One is to put the monkey bread on the tray. The other is and then put it in the oven. The other option is to put the tray in the oven and then put the monkey bread on top, whatever you feel more comfortable doing. The oven mitts are going to be hanging within your kitchen on this little hook right here. So it is okay if you feel more comfortable to take the oven mitts. This is not hot yet. The tray and the pan are not hot yet. What is hot, so when we open the oven, you don't need the oven mitt to open the oven. It is not hot on the outside and it should not be. If it is, you need to let me know. You're gonna open the oven. Do not open it halfway and do not look in, because if you do, which I do all the time by accident, my glasses end up steamed and I can't see anything. Open it all the way, because you don't want it closing on your arms or hitting you by accident when you're trying to put something in. And here I'm going to take this. So once again, I can take my tray with the monkey bread and put it in. Now I can push this in and it will be okay if I push it almost in like that and then finish pushing the tray in. Or you can, like I said earlier, you can take this, put the tray in first, kind of get it centered in there. Notice I use my oven mitt to touch the top of it. Do not touch that rack with your hands. And then I can put my monkey bread on top. What you want to do is you want to try to center whatever you're baking in the middle of the oven, because the temperature seems to be more even there. And close the door all the way. Now, setting the timer. You'll notice I have multiple signs up. This is how to use the oven timer. This is how to use the microwave timer. The oven timer tends to be the hardest one to start and I mess up at home because it's actually different than mine at home. So to use the oven timer, okay, we are going to push the timer on off button, not the green arrow, the words timer. And we are going to bake this for 14 minutes. Now on the oven, we don't add zeros. So I'm gonna push 1, 4, that is 14 minutes, it is not 14 seconds. And I'm gonna push the word start. Okay, and there'll be a whole nother video on how to use the timer. Believe me, it's the hardest thing. It's hands down the hardest thing. Now, we are going to, and you should be cleaning as you go, because there's probably gonna be, like I said, 4 to 6 of you in a kitchen. So this should already be cleaned up. But for the monkey bread recipe, we are going to clean up everything, but we are not gonna empty the dish pan for this scenario here. So 14 minutes, we're ready to go. All right, we are ready to take out our monkey bread. Now in this scenario, first of all, I'm gonna turn it off, okay? Another trick with the oven. A lot of people will hit cancel off to turn off the timer. If you do that, you will actually turn the oven off. So if you're just turning the timer off, which I always wanna do because I wanna make sure it's done first, is you push the timer off button, and we'll do a review. Remember, not the green arrow, the timer off, okay? So I'll do another video, probably have reviewed this 10 times, how to turn the timer on and off, all right? I'm gonna check, make sure I'm not looking inside the oven. I'm going to open it up all the way. I didn't look in this time, anytime other. It looks amazing. I am going to take out your monkey bread. You are going to sit at your table and wait for me to take out the monkey bread for a couple reasons. I know you're capable of doing this, but just for safety reasons for this. In 7th and 8th grade, you will be definitely using the ovens and taking things out yourself. So I'm gonna pull the monkey bread out. And right now, I'm gonna put it up top, on top of the oven. I'm gonna close it. It looks good, so now I can turn off the oven. I'm gonna do that myself. We know that because the red light is on. off. And if your monkey breads are going off simultaneously at the same time, I'm gonna leave yours and I'm gonna go to the next kitchen and the next kitchen. If they aren't going off simultaneously, I'll come back to yours. On your counter with the monkey bread recipe, you are gonna leave out your tray. You're gonna get out a spatula, or this is also known as a turner. Your dish pan is actually, in this scenario, going to stay filled because you're gonna have to clean your muffin tin, your spatula or turner, and your tray, okay? So I will go around, I will take them out, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna use your tray to flip over the monkey bread. So I'm gonna turn this tray over top, and this is why I do it here, because it is, a couple reasons are that it's hard to flip. You've also got hot butter and brown sugar in there, and it's sometimes a little bit hard to grasp. So you'll notice how I grasp it this way, horizontally, and I'm gonna flip it quickly, but here, sometimes the brown sugar and butter will kind of spray out, and believe me, I've gotten hit by it, and it's hot, it's like wax. And I might let it rest and then go to the next kitchen and go to the next kitchen, okay? Well, I'll come back to your kitchen. I will take the tray off, and we have these beautiful monkey breads. I'm going to take your tin, put it in here. And at that point, I am going to plate your monkey bread for you. Don't worry. I know if there's 4 of you and there's 6 here, you get to eat them all, guys. All right. I will take these. I will plate them for you. At this point, I'm going to call you up to your kitchen to finish cleaning. At this point, I'm gonna say, green kitchen, come up and clean. You are not allowed to eat this until your kitchen is spotless. Once again, you are not allowed to eat this until your kitchen is spotless. You are allowed to take these and put them on the table. But if I hear anyone saying, that one's mine, that one's mine, that one's mine, we're gonna have a problem, okay? So they literally go on the table until you're done cleaning. Got it? Or you can leave them here to finish cleaning. You will come over. You will not stare at me. So none of this should all be plating them. You'll all be in your kitchen cleaning. You're going to come over here. The muffin tin should be cool enough. You're going to grab your scrub brush. You're going to scrub your muffin tin. If you find it easier to use your dishcloth, you can also use your dishcloth, right? If I need to, add a little drop of soap here, okay? Make sure you're getting inside each of the little cups, that you're not feeling. Once again, use your sense of touch, that you're not feeling anything stuck to the sides. All right, and I'm looking at it here and I can see there's some sugar in there in here, so I'm not doing a good enough job there. Now the muffin tin needs to be returned to the front counter. And then you're going to return this to the front counter. You still need to finish cleaning the tray. Now this, you have to wait. You might not have to clean that because it might be too hot, but this also, notice I haven't eaten anything yet, okay? I'm gonna finish cleaning the tray. Now this stays in your kitchen. Now, while someone's washing this, you should go back over to your kitchen and you guys should be, if I spilled sugar, if the counter got dirty, you should be wiping down your counter. You probably have already seen the other dishwashing video. These can be moved to the table, move them out of the way, finish wiping this up. If this is cool, it's okay to wash this. If it's not, leave it for me. I will finish cleaning these. As much as I don't want to, I'm gonna clean them, okay? But most of the time I'll come around and I'll give them to you. I will wash them. All right, so before you leave, you can grab a pit toothpick if you want. They'll be on a podium in the front or somewhere maybe in this kitchen. You guys can use a toothpick. You can use your fingers for all I care. But, oh, by the way, this will most likely be your hall pass to your next class because we generally run late. So, yum. Delicious. Mm. So good.